For the full recap, please check the link in the description. The story kicks off with Nok-gi looking really angered, thinking to himself what an epic fail his son's latest plan was. Out of the shadows, Nok-gi asks if Mokpung was too chicken to die. Mokpung quickly defends himself, saying it's not like that. He wasn't afraid to die, but he didn't want to go out like a chump. If he had died fighting the right person, Li Huangya, it would have meant something. But dying against some random guy called Yonho would have done nothing to his real enemy. He explains that he's not scared of death itself, just a pointless one. He only wants to lay his life down where it will actually count. Nok-gi is not having it. Nok-gi gives Mokpung a cold ultimatum, basically saying he doesn't keep useless people around. If Mokpung wants to stay, he needs to prove he can at least do a simple job. Mokpung bows to his father, promising he'll remember the lesson, and his father dismisses him. As Mokpung leaves, his father smirks with a low-key, sinister vibe, thinking that, in the end, Mokpung will have to enter the forest. He is thinking about what a useless pig Mokpung is. The scene flips over to Mokpung, he mumbling that eunuch doesn't know his place, he referring to Nok-gi. Then a servant comes in and fills him in on the situation. Apparently, His Highness wants to keep Nok-gi around for now because he's a good pawn to use against the imperial family. Mokpung is super salty about this, complaining about how long he has to suck up to that castrated fool. The servant ignores his whining and tells him he's been summoned back to the main estate and needs to get going ASAP. Mokpung is stoked to hear this. He smirks and says he can finally ditch his awful disguise. He declares that Nok-gi will eventually be thrown away, and when that happens, all his stuff will belong to him. He then asks what his brothers are up to, and the servant tells him they've moved on from messing with the Confucian faction and are now meddling with the medical clan. Speaking of the medical clan, the scene shifts again. We see our main character, Wee Yonho, showing up at a place called the Lustful Hand Grounds. A man immediately tells him he's in the wrong place. His recommendation letter is for the Sacred Hand Grounds, not this establishment. After a quick flashback showing Yuhuan giving Yonho the letter, the man then points him in the right direction across the street, but warns him not to get his hopes up. As Wee Yonho walks away, he sees the grim reality of the other place. Desperate people are begging for medical help, but are being turned away because they're broke. It's a total bummer, and he realizes that even a group meant to save lives is all about the money. Following the directions, Yonho arrives at the real Sacred Hand Grounds, and it's a complete dump. He's shocked that this rundown shack is supposed to be the legendary 500-year-old medical institution. He calls out, and a young man named Jin Soa appears. When he asks to see the head, he just tells Yonho to talk to him. Yonho repeats his request, confused, and he explains that his father died last year, so now he is the head. Yonho has a total facepalm moment, muttering about his terrible luck. Just then, another voice comes in, the little boy telling his sister a guest has arrived to see their father. A mesmerizing lady comes out and asks what business he has. It was a new waifu candidate, Jin Yeren. Yonho is blushing, then he hands over his recommendation letter. After reading it, Jin Yeren understands he's there to learn. She admits their place is in bad shape, but insists that he stay, saying it would bring shame to their late father if they turned away a guest from Uncle Mun Yuhuan. Wee Yonho tries to dip, not wanting to be a burden, but she's firm. It's a matter of honor, and he's not going anywhere. Defeated, he just accepts his fate. In the guest room, Yonho felt he needed to be more wary because the young lady from before was acquainted with Yuhuan. Without thinking too much about it, he simply lay down. And after a moment, Jin Yeren brings him a massive feast, Yonho surprised because this meal could last 3 days. Feel ashamed, Yonho asks Yuran to stay with him eating together, but Yuran refuses and politely bowing before she leave. This making him wonder if they're not as poor as they look. But then, his sharp hearing picks up a whispered conversation outside between the siblings. The brother is asking where she got all the food since they were out of rice and in poor condition. Then the brother notices her necklace is gone and freaks out, asking if she sold their mother's keepsake. Yuran calmly explains she only pawned it and will get it back when things are better. The brother is horrified, but she insists they can't treat a guest of their father's poorly. Having heard everything, Wee Yunho completely loses his appetite. When Jin Yaran comes back in and asks if the food is okay, he's flustered and says he can't eat. In his mind, he wished that he could just turn the meal back into money. Feeling super guilty, Wee Yunho ends up eating the food anyway, and then heads straight for the Silver River Exchange to get the necklace back. When he gets there, he met with the branch manager, Hei Debung. He tells Yunho to get back the jade necklace. It's not that simple. That item was pawned, not sold. Yunho then pulls out a bag with 2 silver and some coppers, but the manager just scoffs. He explains their predatory rule. To reclaim the item, they have to pay back 3 times the amount borrowed. In total, Jin Yaran borrowed 1 tael of silver. Yunho calls it what it is, a loan shark scam, but the manager just says it's the rule of the exchange. At that moment, Yunho realizes Jin Yaran must have known they would never be able to afford to get her mother's keepsake back. Thinking fast, Yunho pulls an Uno reverse card. He asks if they take items as collateral and presents a solid gold object. In reality, Yunho had forgotten that the sword was a sacred treasure of the Royal Inspectorate. The manager's eyes light up with greed and he agrees to loan a tael of gold on it, but as he inspects the item, his face goes pale. He sees the official seal of the Office of the Inspectorate. The manager starts sweating bullets, realizing he just tried to scam a government official. Playing it cool, Yunho looks at him and asks, 3 taels of gold, was it? Turning the manager's own scammy rules right back at him.